why I'm emphasizing here is your objective and your lesson plan must and should be approved by me for your implementation in Unit 2. Do not proceed with your lesson implementation for Unit 2 and Unit 3 without the lesson plan approval. Okay. So here the first job is to get your lesson plan done. Okay. So first your lesson plan, and after your lesson plan only you will be proceeding for the next. So as long as these weeks are done, prepare a particular topic, get ready mentally with the topic that you want to go with Unit 2. Okay, write your sample plan. Next week your activity is that I'll share the template, or you can download the template from Cambridge portfolio, that Cambridge e-portfolio, and there you can work on a sample lesson, send it to, or for, let us keep it for discussion, because again next week there are parts of lesson plan that we will discuss, and then finalize on your lesson plan and send it to me. Okay. Without my approval, you upload. Remember, once you submit your Unit 2, I'll be straightforward telling that lesson plan was not approved. So this Unit 2 has to be reworked. So don't feel bad that time, because that has to come in a proper way. Okay. From here onwards, it will be without lesson plan approval, you cannot move forward. So Unit 1, these are the things that you have to do. Lesson plan, and please do get your mentor approval before submitting to me. Okay. Lesson plan of the observed lesson plan in PDF, observation visit form, and mentor discussion, evidence of learning, evidence of reflection, artifacts if any. Now here I want to tell something. See, in case of Ambitus, you are writing the entire lesson plan as a single entity. Okay. Take only one period of that particular lesson. Do not take the entire plan. Okay, they don't require, remember, if you submit the entire plan, they may think that that is one period's plan. Don't do that. Snip it. Take only that part that the experienced teacher has implemented. Chaitanya got it? Okay. So take only that snip of it and convert it into PDF and keep it ready. Okay. See that time is mentioned in the lesson plan. The grade level is mentioned. Objective is mentioned. Okay. The others, activities, everything, you can keep it as such. Your school's lesson plan is no, it's not an issue. But see that these are followed, and only that 40 or 60 minutes plan is to be kept. Yes.
Good morning, Sudha ma'am.
Good morning, Chetan.
And good morning, everyone.
So today we will be looking at Unit 2, LOE, plan a lesson that has clear aims and objectives and a coherent structure. So the questions, key questions that we will be answering is, why is lesson planning an important part of teacher's role? What is the difference between aim and objective? Why must a lesson plan have clear aims and objectives? What is the basic structure of a coherent lesson? How does clear aims and objectives and sharing them with students help develop their metacognitive skills? So, what do you consider in your lesson plan? What aspects do you think is needed in planning your lesson? Why are they needed? So you have essential teaching skills book. These books are very, very essential teaching skill is very important book. If possible, read the complete. Okay. I'm sharing your activity. This is an individual activity. You can put your responses in the chat box. I'm going to give you only 5 minutes because today's class is a lengthy class. So 9:42, 9:47. I want the responses in the chat box. Yes, you can put your responses if you're ready, or you can take another 2 minutes and then put your responses. Okay, Shampa ma'am. Okay. Okay. Divina ma'am, that's a good one. Approach to all type of learners. Okay. 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 Lesson plan is a path that leads teachers to the right direction. Right? Anyone else would like to present? So the first question is, what do you consider in your lesson plan? So according to the resource, what are the aspects that are considered? Okay. 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 Monetary. Let us see. Okay, you have given the responses. Let us see. The decision to set an objective, why you need planning is you need to deliver the lesson first thing. So your planning should involve what type of learners you have in your class, what is their level or background of learning. Okay. Yes. What type of learners I have in their class, what is the background of the learners, what is the curriculum expectations, all this you will be taking into consideration in order to set the objective, so that you can now, based on these input, you will be deciding the type and nature of activities that you will be designing for your class. Third aspect is, when you are preparing, you should be aware of the resources that are available to you. What resources the school has, what resources your neighborhood has. So these resources also must be utilized in a proper way. Finally, you do this entire planning of resources, activities, your lesson delivery, all this in order to see that your learners have learned. So assessment becomes a very important part of your lesson planning. So these are the major aspects that you have to consider when you are planning a lesson. Yes, Shravanti, that's good. Okay, she has given a list. Okay, right. So when we look at the lesson plan, the first part of the lesson is going to be aim and objective. I'm not going to give you discussion in groups now because we have another activity based on lesson plan. So just this we have done last week. So just a refreshing about what we have done last time. Can you just differentiate between an aim and an objective? Just a quick recall between what is aim and objective. Yes, Garima, 5A strategy also can be used in lesson planning.
Aim, ma'am, aim is a purpose of any course or project which provides like a big picture, big perspective, like
Yes.
And objective is steps which are required, which steps which will be taken to achieve that aim. Will be
Very good. Okay. Yes, Sharmila.
Ma'am, aim is kind of broad or general of a full content, and objective is something like a measurable. We can measure it, and it is time bound. So for this today's class, I can take 1 or 2 objectives and I can complete it. But aim is not like we can complete within a day or two. It is like very broad, and moreover, aim is like open ended. It will be open-ended and it will be like a general outcome. Like I want
Very
my
true.
students to be learned in fractions. That is aim. But objective is something like in that divisions of the fractions, many things are there. So that may be
Sure.
come under objective. Like we can say objective focuses on this some specific skills. So that is called as objective.
Very true. Okay. Yes, Kushi.
Yes, ma'am. Aim is like overall goal, what we want to achieve, ma'am. So it is like a big picture or the destination where we want to reach. Objective is a small pieces, small steps where we will take one step or take one piece and then reach that aim. Like for example,
Very
if we
true.
want to become a swimmer, like becoming a swimmer, great swimmer is an aim. Learning to
Ah,
swim is an objective. In a free
learning
normal.
to swim is an objective, and what is the aim?
Great swimmer. Becoming a great swimmer.
Both are same, right?
No, ma'am, like professionally, like how can he swim? Starting is like slowly, step by step. Like first they will start with small pool and then big pool. That is like slowly. Aim is to become a big swimmer.
Okay, okay. Hold on to that thought. Kushi, 1 minute. Yeah. Yes, Shravanti.
Ma'am, so abroad, it describes the aim, describes the overall purpose, ma'am. Like it's a long-term goal. So what you want to achieve. Whereas objective means it's a measurable, like step-by-step action, ma'am, that helps to achieve the overall. So to
Ah,
achieve the aim, what are the steps to be followed is an objective. Like example,
okay.
ma'am, aim is to develop a love for reading among students. Like example. So for that, what are the objectives we need to start from the short stories, right? So end of the lesson, the student should be able to identify the main idea of in a short story. He should be able to understand the short stories first to develop the love for the reading among the students.
Okay. Okay.
and it was, I mean, long term, as it takes long period of time, whereas objective takes very short time, ma'am, within a lesson or in a unit 2. And
Okay.
I mean, it should not, I mean, aim need not be a specific, ma'am. It does not indicate that how it will be achieved. It may be in different ways, whereas
Very
objective
true.
means
That is a
it should be
valid point.
clear,
Yes.
precise and measurable. That includes a detailed steps on how the goal will be achieved.
Very true. That is a very valid point. When you have an aim does not say how it is achieved. Objective is very clear on how it has to be achieved. Yes, Neelam, I'll stop with Aarti, okay? Because we need to move forward. Yes, Neelam.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Like everybody has told already different points about aims and objective. As told by Khushi ma'am, aim is a bigger goal, while objectives are definite specific steps we take to achieve that goal. Like for example, if my aim is to become a doctor, my objective will be to learn science, to find a place where I can take a coaching to get into a medical college. Then what are the subjects I'm going to study? What are the topics I'm going to study? So these will be the different objectives which I need to achieve my goal. So
Very true, very true. Kushi, just look at your chat box. Veena ma'am has given clearly the aim and objective to swimming. See, when you look at swimming as a goal, okay, what is the first thing that you have to learn? Okay, that getting into the water and balancing yourself in one leg first. That becomes your first objective. The steps that, for example, okay, you want to go to the first floor. That becomes your aim. The steps that you take, each step is an objective. Clear? Yeah. Yes, Preeti?
Yes, ma'am. So when we are talking about aim, ma'am, aim, as most of the points have been covered, so it is more of a little general thing, ma'am, and it doesn't specify the details as you have told now. And here, when we are talking about an objective, we can measure the outcomes of that, ma'am, and it indicates what the student should know or be able to do at the end of that particular aim, you can say. So that those are the steps that we are taking to reach that aim. So that is what I got the difference between.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Aarti.
मैम क्या मैं हिंदी में बोल सकती हूँ?
या आप हिंदी में बोल सकते हो पर लिखना इंग्लिश में ही है.
जी मैम, मैं लिखूंगी इंग्लिश में ही। मैम
Okay.
एम का अर्थ होता है लक्ष्य मैम, लक्ष्य हम क्या प्राप्त करना चाहते हैं वहां पर। लेकिन ऑब्जेक्टिव जैसे हम हमारा लेसन प्लान भी जब बना रहे हैं तो उस समय हम उन्हें क्या पढ़ाना चाहते हैं, तो अलग अलग तरीके के जब स्टूडेंट्स वहां रहेंगे तो हमें एक साथ पूरा वर्क नहीं दे सकते हम उनको। कुछ लोग डल
नहीं, that comes under differentiation, आरती.
जी जी,
आपको एक पाठ पढ़ाना हो तो उसमें वो लैंग्वेज का कौन
छोटे
से
छोटे जो कदम हम लेते हैं जी,
वो
उसमें जो
कौन
एक एक स्टेप लेते हैं वो वाले ऑब्जेक्टिव्स कहलाएंगे।
नहीं, वो कौन से विषय आप उनमें जताना चाहते हैं. फॉर
जी
एग्जाम्पल, आप जो स्वातंत्र सेनानी के बारे में बोलेंगे तो नेशनैलिटी, तो राष्ट्र प्रेम के बारे में आप उनको जताना चाहते हैं और आप उनमें जताना चाहते हैं. दैट बिकम्स योर ऑब्जेक्टिव.
ऑब्जेक्टिव जैसे पूर्व ज्ञान की जानकारी, आप क्या जानते हैं उनके बारे में, स्वतंत्रता
that doesn't
सेनानियों
come
के
as
बारे में, उसके
objective.
साथ में फिर
that doesn't come as objective. आपको भाषा विषय, ग्रामर की जो कंपोनेंट्स होती है वो सब
जी
आपको ऑब्जेक्टिव में आती है. लिटरेरी पार्ट्स
ओके
एंड योर ग्रामर पार्ट्स. ओके.
ओके
जैसे if you
ओके
tell for English, if there is a Alicia has written writing a fantasy story, एक कथा बनाने के लिए your aim is बच्चे कहानी लिखना चाहिए. तो what will be the first one? वो ठीक तरह से वाक्य बनाना सीखना चाहिए. That
बनाना
becomes the
चाहिए।
first aim, isn't it? तो उसके हिसाब से जो वो मैजिकल विषय है, that is what she has written, a magical element. Fantasy माने it should not be something connected with real. So magic हिसाब से what is that element that they have to add. She has written it very nicely. That becomes your second objective. Remember, these are three objectives. Then third one is making connection. आपको कहानी में introduction होना चाहिए, एक प्रॉपर मिडिल होना चाहिए जहां पे आप एक क्लाइमैक्स बना रहे, वो
एक
स्टोरी
दूसरे
बना
से
रहे हैं.
संबंध बना रहे हैं उसका
Yeah,
जी।
and last में climax होना चाहिए, conclusion होना चाहिए. That becomes your third objective. So now for fantasy story, you have three objectives. Okay.
जी
You can complete it in one period or you can take 4 periods also. Doesn't matter. But that objective is a reachable objective. Okay. So that is how
ओके
we have to write. So aim is a broad statement of intent. Now this is exactly given in your module guide. Need not copy this. You can take it from any other resources when you're writing your evidence of learning. Please understand, do not copy it directly from module guide. Objective describes precisely what the students are able to do. Okay. Remember, when we are talking about are able to do, students will listen to the story, doesn't become an objective. Okay. Because there is no measurability in your statement. Are they listening? We don't know. So it has to be clearly measurable type of intent that you are putting into your statements. That becomes your objective. Okay. So why smart objectives? Okay. Take any one topic. Now remember the acronym SMART. Please put in the chat box. Okay. One objective. Think of any lesson. Okay. One lesson you think of. Write a SMART objective and put it in the chat box. Now we will evaluate. Your peers also will look at only this criteria, whether it is specific, whether it is measurable, whether it is achievable within the time frame that you're giving. Okay, realistic, relevant, and time bound. Okay, anyway, because you're taking your objective from your aim, it should be relevant. Now, where will you get your aim when you are talking of? Okay, through this is a broad goal. Okay, right now, 5 minutes, very true. That is for your bodybuilding. Now, aim, where do you get your aim from? Where will you get your aim from? We talked of aim as well as objective, isn't it? Yes, Neelam?
From objective, sorry, ma'am.
No.
Ma'am, our aim when we are teaching, our aim will be our plan like essays, FAs, What, how many lessons?
No.
the curriculum.
From the lesson plan.
Curriculum.
Yes, from the curriculum document,
Curriculum.
not your lesson plan. Your board, CBSE would have given you a document. Okay. And Cambridge clearly gives you scheme of work with the codes. Right? Remember, your aim should carry that statement. If you're working in a CBSE school, take the NCRT teacher doc and download, take that statement. That is your aim. Cambridge schools must follow your scheme of work even for your early years. Okay, you have a document which is given by Cambridge that has to be taken with the code. It has to come. Remember, for Cambridge document, it has to come with the code. Okay, and for NCRT, I will be referring to the document, NCRT document. So please, not NCRT, CBSE teacher doc. There is a so that from there you have to pick your statement and you have to put. That is your aim. From there you derive your objectives. Okay. Now take one from your documents. I think I've shared the NCRT one. You have the NCRT one? Just a minute. How many of you are from CBSE? Okay. Do you have the NCRT doc with you? Okay. Okay. Then you can start working with the NCRT doc. Those who are from Cambridge background, please open your scheme of work and take the statement, any statement. Now I'm not asking you what lesson you want to implement. Take a relevant statement of your class and from there you derive your objectives. Copy that, put as aim and objective, state only one objective. Remember, it need not cover the entire topic of the aim. It just need to be a step in achieving that aim. Objective is, no Parveen, this is not the objective. Objective is understanding about environmental conservation. What is the first step you need? Why they have to understand, isn't it? First thing is you will be talking about the energy flow. Then you will be talking about the food web, cycle. What is that cycle? You forgot. Food cycle and food web. Yes. So then you will be talking about ecological balance. So these are the steps we are talking about. Okay. Preeti, you have taken aims to facilitate. No, I'm talking about the document for class 1, class 2, class 3. They would have given a big, that is, I think it's teachers
Ma'am,
LO
can
document.
I show?
Yes, ma'am, I got it, ma'am. I'm checking.
You got it?
Ma'am, can I explain or
Ma'am,
say?
I have shared a document. Is that the one like for class 10? I got it.
Yes, class 10, this is the one. You will not, this one. You have further division. Further division, look at the academic website. You have individual subject wise.
Okay.
Share
Yes,
the screen. I want to
wise,
just
it will
show
be
you.
giving, they'll be giving the aims. I'll just share the one.
Can I share the screen? I think I have it. Can I?
Just a minute. Yes, you can share.
Sharing is not on.
Yeah.
I have that file, learning outcomes and objectives of NCRT.
Just a minute. Let me see if sharing is. Yeah, now try.
Ma'am, I have got I just send the link for the
Yes, this is
objective.
the one. This is the one. Correct.
It was
This
shared
is the
in a
one.
PDF, like during our PD sessions, they have given
Yeah,
this.
actually you have from class 1 onwards.
Yeah, ma'am.
actually,
Hindi also
that
it's there,
document.
ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
from
ma'am,
class
we got
1,
it.
Hindi also we have, English separate, math separate,
Yes.
EVS separate.
Yes.
All we have.
In our PD sessions, we will have.
It was given.
Yes.
And NCF, I think National Council, the framework, right?
Not NCF, it is with NCRT. It is actually, the name itself is NCF. Please don't open it. It's not with NCF.
Okay.
Possible, I will check it out. It should be with me. Ah, got it. Teachers LOD. Where is this?
Ma'am, I have shared the link also for that, ma'am.
Just give me a minute. I'll upload the document. Yeah. Yes, Veena ma'am, you have any questions? Yeah, that learning framework also doesn't give
No,
the
ma'am,
exact
no.
lesson wise. Okay. Lesson wise, it doesn't give. Just a minute. I'm uploading the document. You can download this and you can. Because it's a big file. Yeah, it's uploaded. You can download this. Okay, this gives up to from 1 to 10. Class 1 to 10. Champa ma'am, you have shared from your system that we cannot be accessing. Yes, please, you can finish first. Share the aims and objectives. Please share. Okay, India, size and location. Aim is not like that, ma'am. You have to go to the lesson. Just a minute. Class 9 social. 88.
This is the first chapter of geography.
Yeah, just a minute. I'll tell you how exactly it has to be given. Utilized resources, poverty. India size. See, your aim is examine the relationship between longitude and time, latitude and amount of radiation received by the Earth. That becomes the first aim. I'll share the document, ma'am, then you will understand. They have given it as objectives. Okay, can you see? So
Yes.
India size and location, examine the relationship between latitude, longitude and time, latitude, amount. Now, all this you will not be teaching in one step, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
now you break it down. Okay. So that becomes your objective. This becomes your aim.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am?
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, shall I say?
Please share it. You say I will not be able to make the connection. That is the reason I'm asking you to write in chat box.
Okay, ma'am.
Remember, in the lesson plan template also, you will have to write, because we will be seeing, I'll be checking with these documents and then only I'll be verifying. Remember, they will also be checking with these documents. So please ensure that you're writing your aim correctly related to your curriculum document. One minute. Write only one objective. Aim to develop. Is this the aim of the class, Sharmila?
Problem solving skills in algebra can be the aim, ma'am. It's the aim because I am taking.
My question is this the aim in the document? Remember, I told you very clearly, it has to be from the document.
SOW, ma'am.
Your Cambridge, you are saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So Cambridge will not be giving like this. I'm 100% sure of that. Check it out.
I rephrased it. I'll just check.
No, you have to give the code with the same words.
Right.
Okay. And it will never be problem solving skills in algebra.
I rephrased it again. I'll do it as per what they have written.
Yeah. Will solve linear equations. Will solve. Okay. One variable. No, don't break it down. Only your objective will be learners will solve linear equations in one variable. That's it.
Okay, ma'am.
And here you have to write learners will solve simple problems, okay, with one component of one variable. For example, you can also have 2x plus 3 is equal to 5x plus 7.
Yes.
So that again you have to specify. Only one component will be given, then two components. Don't break it down like this. Only that objective should be written. Don't break it down.
Right.
Okay. Manjari, where is objective? Response, no.
Okay.
No, you cannot write like that. What do you want them to achieve? See, you have so many things you have given.
Yes,
Identifies, appreciates significant literary elements. Now, all this is there in the poem.
Yes, ma'am. All these are there in the
Okay,
poem.
then you will have to break it down.
Okay.
Learners will be able to recognize metaphor and imagery from the given lines of the poem.
Okay, so do I have to even mention the given lines of the poem?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Understood.
That specific it has to be.
Okay.
And then learners will be able to evaluate or identify metaphor and imagery from unknown passages.
Okay.
Okay,
Understood.
that is the aim of doing it. Don't write respond. Respond to literary nuances, it becomes a non-measurable or non-specific.
Okay, understood.
Observe and explore the animals for unique and unusual sense of sight.
Ma'am, for the aim which we have taken, only one learning objective, or for that aim to achieve, how
You
we are
can have
setting that?
multiple.
multiple.
And remember that aim can be for 4 periods also. But be specific to the objective that you are achieving only in that particular period. Okay, for example, an aim has 5 objectives, but you are able to achieve only 3 objectives in that period. 3 objectives only you write. Okay, 1 minute, I have not. Identify learners. Remember here, your statement will be learners will be able to identify sense organs of, don't write different. What animals are you specifically teaching about? Okay. Okay, animals, the sense organs of animals, and bees, birds, snakes, dogs, tigers. Full stop. Next, you can write learners will be able to recognize sense organs of animal groups like mammals, reptiles, like that you can. It's only knowing about the special senses, or it's also identifying special senses. Which class are you talking about? Now remember here, you will also have to relate to the Bloom's taxonomy. Now when you say no, it means the lower level. Now which class are you dealing with?
Ma'am, for grade 5, I have taken it from the document, teacher resource document.
Okay, then 5 it's fine. 5 it's fine. Because I thought you're dealing with higher classes. Higher classes, no cannot be the level. Okay, yeah. That's why the age group is very important here. Plants require what minerals, Chaitanya? Learners will what? Learn means what is the objective? What is the specificity that you want them to?
They want to know
What is the verb that you want them to do?
Magnesium and nitrates are essential.
So will they recognize the importance? Will they relate the importance? So what is the Bloom's verb that you want them? What is the level?
Okay, verb. They will recognize the importance of minerals.
Recognize the importance of what minerals to maintain healthy growth.
So that everything we should know.
You have to mention there.
This is for grade 8, ma'am.
So that mineral must be mentioned, okay? Now remember, in your objective, your code will not come up. Aim only will have the code.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Explain the theme of lesson, the child and nature. Able to identify 2 verbs you are doing. Make it only 1.
Okay.
Okay. Identify key elements that illustrate the relationship between child and nature. Next will describe the key elements. Illustrate between the child and nature in their own words.
Okay.
Or should it be in the words of the textbook?
Both are there, ma'am. Like usually in poems,
we have to mention that also. Describe the relationship based on the vocabulary of the textbook. First is on their own words, and then replace it with the words vocabulary of the textbook. Okay. Examine the relationship. Okay. Identify. Very good. Now this is correct, ma'am. Now this is what is your objective. Draw an equation between longitude and time, or you can have draw an equation, reverse work, right? Apply the equation. Very good. Now this is your objective. Yes, this is very clear. Can you see now? Students will be doing it. Specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant also to the curriculum, and realistic also. It is time bound also. A reflection from rough and smooth surfaces. Okay. Ma'am, what is the objective? Veena ma'am, you have written the aim. What is the objective?
Okay, I'll write it, ma'am. I'll write it.
Demonstrate fluency in language and communication skills through recitation and sharing of poems, songs, jokes, riddles. Okay. Objectives. Don't write recitation and sharing. Recite a poem with. Now here what happens if they don't do, what will you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Recite a poem. It's not this
Actually,
one,
this is
isn't it?
for 6th grade I have taken, ma'am.
Class lo unnanu.
మేడం నమస్తే మేడం.
Yeah.
మీకు ఒక మేడం చిన్న పిల్లలు తీసుకుని వచ్చారు మేడం, మిమ్మల్ని కలవాలంట కదా.
నేను అవైలబుల్ లేదు. So recite a poem with proper intonation and correct pronunciation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So this is what I have
So
taken for
here
grade.
my question is, how are you measuring the recitation?
So I just feel that this is for grade 6. So they should be able to recite the poem.
I can understand, but how are you actually measuring it?
Measuring it in the sense, ma'am?
Your objective should be specific, measurable, isn't it?
Acha, in that case, objective is. So my objective is, see, we will go with the theme of this poem, the moral of this poem, and then we will elaborate more on, like, you know, the activity will be like they will be describing a recent fight.
And my question, you still didn't get it. My question is, how will you rewrite this objective in a way that it becomes measurable?
Okay, so if they are not able to recite, in that case, we can go with their personal.
Yeah.
They can go with their personal experiences, or where they can also show the intonation or correct pronunciation, or they can go with the reading.
Can any other English teacher help her in defining the objective? This is for which class, ma'am?
Grade 6, ma'am.
Grade 6.
Rafia ma'am, can you just repeat it?
Here, I have selected a poem called The Quarrel from grade 6, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So my aim here is to demonstrate fluency in English language and communication skills through recitation and sharing of poems and songs and riddles or personal experiences, actually.
Okay.
What ma'am asked me is, I am just, how am I going to specify it? So what is
exactly, because ma'am,
what is going to be my learning objective?
No, when you're taking the poem, The Quarrel, so the aim is going to be what? Like maybe the students will be able to, you know, read the poem with proper diction, intonation.
That is for proper intonation and yes, proper intonation, and also they will also correct their pronunciation, or with effective expression they will read.
Correct the pronunciation.
Objective is very broad. Language and
yes. So what you can do is, ma'am, first we are going to start with the background of the poem or the poet. Okay, so probably that can be the aim. The students will be able to understand the background of the poet. Ma'am, is it correct? Is this the way you wanted?
Ma'am, here I'm looking at how exactly we can make this measurable. See, she has given recite a poem with the proper intonation and correct pronunciation. So there, this is not a measurable quantity.
Yeah, but the background of the poet is the measurable, or the background of the poem is measurable. Is that measurable?
What is that you're scaling this with? See, for example, you're reciting a poem. You need some standards to say that this is in line with the proper intonation and this one. See, correct?
Yes. So probably once the learner, once the teacher reads the poem, that is measurable. The student will be able.
But how do you compare it with the students' work? That's something. No, I'm still not getting.
So first the teacher is going to read the poem, and then we'll ask the students to read the poem as.
And there are too many variables here: intonation, pronunciation, fluency of language.
Actually, this is what we check
Students
when we
will
go with.
be able to recite a poem. Recite a poem.
Using a proper diction and intonation.
Students will be able to recite a poem with the proper.
Maybe first, ma'am can start with the significant words from the poem, ma'am.
Or maybe the teacher will be first, will read out the poem loudly and will ask the students to read as per her instructions, something like that. So do you think that is measurable?
I'm still, no, give me some time, because which is this poem? Give me some time.
Quarrel,
because
quarrel, ma'am. The quarrel.
The quarry.
The quarrel.
Quarrel.
Quarrel. Okay, give me some time, because let me read through the poem and get back to you, because no, without that I will not be able to give you the correct this one. Okay, I'll just mark it here. Class 6, right, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Class 6.
I saw the page number. Please go through the others work now, so that I can just the quarrel. Ma'am, you can actually start with, okay, the learners will describe a quarrel that they have come across recently.
That is the
There-
objective. That is a specific objective.
No, that also is an
That
aim.
actually is the moral and theme, which
1
I am
minute,
also
ma'am.
going to include.
1 minute. See, you can sequence it. Now go from simple to complex.
Okay.
Okay. As they recite, see what I see there is, it's given as the second part. Describe their own reason, fight or quarrel they had with their siblings. So you can mention that. So if they are not, describe a reason, fight or quarrel in their own words. Okay. Then you can use, as they are doing it, they will be using the vocabulary of the poem. Okay. Now then you go with, describe the fight or quarrel with the words that are in the poem with proper intonation. Okay. Or correct pronunciation. Go like that.
Then is my aim correct, ma'am, in that case?
Your aim will now change.
Okay.
See, prioritize what, when your curriculum document is given also, they would have given with one intent. But no, if you feel that it is not coming correctly with your order from simple to complex, you can change it. Make it up and down. Just a minute. Shravanti, again, don't go with this specific objective, measurable objective. No, all together one only. All together one. Alicia, again, aim will have the code. Objective will not have the code. These objectives are each one aims. Recognize the proper use of parts of speech and apply it. Right. We'll be able to, this is correct. Demonstrate the correct usages. Will be able to complete exercises. Fine. Yes, this is right. Classify into categories, right? Identify the major parts, including identify and label. Okay, where? Preeti ma'am, where?
Yes, ma'am.
Identify and label the major parts of plants where? In the diagram or in the plant that they are having?
Ma'am, maybe acha, we have to mention in a,
Yes,
because I
yes.
mentioned major parts of a plant
In the diagram
in the diagram, or if
yeah,
they are
or
doing
in
any
the
practical.
worksheet that is provided, what?
Okay, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. I'll make the change.
Each function, you describe the function of each plant part during photosynthesis. Don't write it as such as. That means you are again broadening. In photosynthesis.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So then you write, describe the function of the plant of roots in nutrient absorption.
So I have to break that particular
Yes.
second point into more number of points. Sure, ma'am.
Now the third one is right. Explain the differences between. Now, do you want it only till explain? Yes, I think they don't have beyond that.
Ma'am, grade 7, it will be that much only,
That
ma'am.
much only, yeah. Ma'am, how, Parveen ma'am, how are they able to identify poem's central theme of choices in life? Did you explain that first? You have directly gone to the choice. Now, it does it not start with something that you have to explain that?
Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. This is a road not taken poem, ma'am.
I
So,
know that poem.
yeah,
That's why I'm
the
asking
aim
you.
is aim is to make them understand the life skill called decision
I
making.
understood that, Parveen ma'am. Please understand my question. When you are saying, look at your objective, learners will be able to identify the poem's central theme of choices in life. Okay.
Yes,
now, where before that, there should be an objective. This can be the second objective.
So is
Okay.
the objective is going to be like they connect with their life? So that is going
Yeah, but they have to make a decision, isn't it?
Yes.
How do they arrive at making a decision? Where is that objective?
Okay.
Ma'am, this
You
is regarding a lesson
when
plan.
you are writing, when you are writing your objective, now as soon as you read the poem, will the students be able to make choice of the decision of their life?
Ma'am, shall I just
Yeah.
I want to understand, ma'am, actually. Ma'am, this is regarding the lesson plan, right, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah. So the aim of the lesson plan is to, at the end of the lesson, they should be able to understand the decision making skill in their life. Right,
I
ma'am?
understood that, Parveen. Parveen, my question is, you are going to read the poem first, right?
Yeah.
Explain first. Your objective should be about explaining the life choices and the result associated with. Remember, I'm again repeating, explaining, isn't it? You are directly going to a higher level of analysis.
Okay. So you mean that, ma'am, step by step we have to write actually what
When
is
you're
first.
writing your objective also, you need to see what happens. You write this and next you write, I will be explaining the poem. The learners will be able to understand the poem or will be able to recognize the choice that was made by the author in the poem. Now that is a mismatch. You got it? You have to level your objectives when you are writing your objectives.
So simple to complex, ma'am. You're saying simple
Yes,
steps to
yes.
complex.
From simple to complex, it has to come. Got it?
So delivery of content, ma'am. Particularly, we have to focus on delivery of
Yes,
content.
you have to focus on how you're teaching them, how you plan. That is why we think first, how exactly should I start? And then you put it as your objective. How will your learners learn things? That order should come. Okay?
Okay.
material, substance and particles, learners will be able to. I didn't understand. Mukambika, use the particle model to explain properties of solids and liquids. Fine. Learners will be able to find the difference between materials, substances. What exactly would you want them to learn here? I mean, understand here?
What is the difference between the material and what is the difference between the substance?
I didn't still get you. What are the materials we are talking about?
We are talking about solids, liquids, and gases.
And what are the substances we are talking about?
Substances, it is a single. Ma'am.
See, you have written material, substances, and particles.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what are materials? What are substances here? And what are particles here?
The atoms which are present in the material is called as particles.
Okay, what are substances?
Substances may, it
Now,
means it, yes, ma'am.
Tell me.
Substances, it may be a single or group.
And materials?
Materials also come under that.
Then see, one thing is, do you really want them to understand the difference between, I'm not taking substances now, materials and particles?
Yes,
or do you want learners to know that materials have particle arrangement? Know the difference between the particle arrangement in different materials.
Yes, material. Arrangement of particles in different materials.
And that you have to specify, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that is one. Then you will be writing now based on the arrangement of materials, they will be able to describe the particle model.
Yes.
Now, Sinduri, you just tell me, recite the poem and relate the thought of imagination. How is this measurable?
Ma'am, the poem itself,
Right, but it has to be measurable, right? How are you measuring their imagination? You tell me that.
Okay, ma'am.
You have to put something. See, I'm not saying this is not correct, but what is the aspect that you're putting there to make it measurable?
Actually, in the poem itself, the poet will be describing his imagination. So I want the students to relate their imagination to the poet's imagination,
So
how the poet is imagining.
Now my next question is, how can you see that your students have really imagined about that poem? How do you know?
That's what, by reciting the poem itself.
Probably asking questions, ma'am. Is that so?
Asking questions, okay. There is one more very interesting fact. When you're asking questions also, you will not be able to understand their imagination of that particular topic, topsy-turvy land. What you can add in order to understand? Yes, Neelam?
Ma'am, we can ask the children to draw their imagination.
Got it?
Ma'am, that's what in the second objective I have mentioned, that attempts to write
But
story.
then you have relayed the thought to the imagination. That means you have to braid.
Okay.
When they are reciting the poem also, like I asked Tehseen ma'am, what is your objective in making them recite the poem?
Okay.
Okay, you will have
I
to.
have just sent that again in this chat box. You can just see how we are going to, now we have understood like how it is going to begin with simple and go to complex.
But ma'am,
Yes.
one thing I have, ma'am,
Stepwise.
Yes.
I have one thing, ma'am. How can we measure the imagination? Like imagination is something, that it is their imagination. So how can
that is why you have, yes, Neelam. She has given the answer and still you're asking the question.
Drawing in the sense, yeah, 1 second. For everything, you cannot say, suppose the poet imagines, I ask the child to imagine himself or herself in that position. So then how can the child draw? I mean,
Role
Then
play,
that
role
will
play,
be
ma'am.
that will be role
Can
play.
I
And yes,
answer?
Role play.
okay, understood. Okay, so
Can I
that is
answer?
going to be okay.
yes,
So it has to be measurable at each and every.
yes. Objectives must and should be measurable. Yes, Neelam, you were saying
Ma'am,
something.
like so I don't know the poem. Like suppose the poet is imagining the different components like sky, flower, clouds, smell. So we will see if the child has put all these components in their drawing or dialogues or the story which they write related to the poem. So these things we will be able to.
Yes, yes, you can add story writing. That is measurable. What Neelam just now said, that becomes your
Ma'am,
measurable quantity
ma'am,
of your
Ma'am, can I answer?
ma'am.
Yes, Garima.
Ma'am, here measurable doesn't mean that we are going to give marks or something. It is something to understand their understanding.
Very
After the
true.
poem, whether they have understood what Neelam has just now said, that if the poem is talking about, let's say, some flora and fauna or anything. So if the child is able to draw or depict the same thing in the story form or the drawing form, that is, we can measure that he has
yes.
got
Ma'am,
the content of the poem.
ma'am, I would like to add one thing, ma'am.
Sure. Yes, Parveen.
Ma'am, if it is what, ma'am, like when the child is not good at drawing but very good at imagination, then how can we measure that?
Ma'am, role play, ma'am, because this.
Now a child is very good at drawing, but not at
No, ma'am, if the child is not good at drawing, but he is very good at imagination.
then you will have to ask a narration.
Narration, role play, enact.
Anything can be. See, that is where your unit 3 differentiation comes in.
So, ma'am, here I have to add that I'll be measuring with particular act, like ma'am said, like asking
Yes.
the students to draw
Yes.
their imagination after
Draw
reciting
their
the poem.
imagination or no, write about their own imaginative land.
Okay. So the second objective which I mentioned, that will not relate, ma'am. Attempts to
It
write.
will relate, but now see there you have told two objectives: recite a poem and relate to the thought of the that has to be split now.
Okay. And
See,
relate the thought of the
reciting is one
imagination with their
activity.
drawings.
Relating the imagination is another activity.
Yes, ma'am. Understood, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
What about reading
Okay, I'll
the
just
poem,
stop
ma'am?
here. I'll stop here. We'll take a quick break and come back. And then we will continue because even I didn't see the time. Okay, we'll take a 5 minutes quick break and come back. And we will continue because this week's activity, please ask whatever questions this week and next week because it's totally based on your lesson plan. Okay. Yeah. Okay. 5 minutes break. We'll join at 10:15. Yes, Alicia, you have a question? Alicia or Kushi, I can see your hands raised. Ravanti, you have any questions?
No, ma'am, just please go through the thing, ma'am. I have sent it.
Just going through Sharmila's because there are, I will have to talk to her.
Ma'am.
Yes, Alicia.
Ma'am, can we add, can we take expressions and gestures also for my as measurable, ma'am?
No. They have to then, if you're taking a expression, you can't. But gestures, you will have to have a demonstration activity. That's what I'm doing for Kushi. Kushi is also, it's wrong actually. Never write that learners will be able to memorize poem. What are we asking them to do? It is recite the poem with proper gesture and pronunciation, isn't it? So that is not the right one. So Kushi, you will have to work on this. And 1 minute, I think Sharmila's also reworking is needed. Yes, you can follow Bloom's taxonomy levels. Ma'am, this is what I said, Aarti ma'am. आपको इंग्लिश में लिखना पड़ेगा.
Okay, ma'am.
लेखन कौशल का विकास Cambridge, because recently also one of them asked the program leader. Clearly they told you can have keywords in Hindi, but it has to be translated in English.
Okay.
Only certain words like lesson names can be in Hindi, but you have to write in English. Okay.
Okay.
So
Ma'am,
here
is it
you'll have,
correct, ma'am? Is it correct if I am giving a paragraph writing?
you write it in English because I'll not accept this because finally, you write and I check it.
Next time I will not write, ma'am, but it is correct or not, I want to know, ma'am.
See the objectives, I will not be knowing the keywords in Bloom's taxonomy that you're using. That is why I'm asking you to write in English.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, your aim is fine. Okay, you are trying to improve the writing skills. Okay.
Yes.
When you're saying writing skills improvement, now what exactly are you looking at?
Ma'am, I am giving the new words.
It's like improvement in vocabulary. But
Yeah.
what is the level of Bloom you're trying to achieve?
Okay. For 9th and 10th class.
Rachana, again, sentence framing.
Yeah.
What is the level of Bloom you're trying to achieve? That is why I said write in English.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am, I will try.
Sharmila, yours, there is a thing. See, remember, understand cannot be used. Okay. Don't use words like knowledge, understand, application. Analyze can be used because analyze is also a word in Bloom's verb. Okay. Don't use creative. Okay. So these are some things that you have to remove, understand, and make it more specific. Okay. Then what do you want them to move between the two representations? What do you want them to move? What do you expect them to do? Bloom's verb is absent there. Okay. Now apply linear equations in what's okay. Example, cost and distance. So you want learners to apply linear equations to real world scenarios. That's fine.
Ma'am, so in this case, understand word and need to be removed.
You
And
have written move between the two. What do you want them to do?
the variables need to
Students will be able to manipulate between representations and solve, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
That way it has to come.
All right. Right.
Similarly, Kushi, memorize cannot be an aspect that you are expecting students to do. Remember,
Okay,
in your
ma'am.
unit itself, you have written then. Will be able to practice the correct gestures, that is right. Will be able to demonstrate, that is also fine because you're asking them to demonstrate. Learners will be able to perform the poem confidently, no, because it is not measurable.
Summarizing this, it is so that it's not there.
Yeah. Now let us continue. Next week, once you are into this format, no, I've shared this format with you. So next week, one lesson, I'm not given, remember, I've not put the years. Don't use this template when you're writing your lesson plan. Download the template from your e-portfolio and use it, because I've got concerns saying that template is not shared. We will not be sharing template because again, if it is 2025, templates will change. So you will have to download from your e-portfolio. Yes, Manjari, you have raised your hand.
Ma'am, I just want to understand. See, when we ask, suppose, that we ask the student to read the poem with correct intonation and diction, then
Yeah.
how is it measurable, ma'am?
Demonstrate. Demonstrate.
So we are going to use the word as
They
demonstrate.
have to, yes, they have to demonstrate that. Okay, I'll share this table in your WhatsApp because I don't think so I can share it here. I'll try. Unable to. The same thing I'll put you, I'll divide you into groups. Please copy paste this so that no. I'll post the links also. I'll post the links also in the WhatsApp group and divide you into 3 groups. So these 3 groups work I've given you. There are all links. The question is, you will have to prepare a table, what to consider while writing yellow and what precaution to be taken while writing a yellow learning objective. Clear? Clear? Anyone has questions here?
Ma'am.
Ma'am, can you please repeat it again, ma'am?
What do you have to consider while writing a learning objective and what precaution you have to take while writing a learning objective? Okay, so I'm dividing you into 3 breakout rooms. So you can discuss and submit, share the table and you can present. 10 minutes. So 11:05 we will join back.
Ma'am, I just have a small query on this objectives again.
Yes, Sharmila.
Do we need to attend all those 5 factors or each objective is it measurable?
Whatever objective you're writing, see, your aim can be very big. Okay. It can be covered in 4 periods.
Yes, ma'am.
For that particular period, you have set only 2 objectives. That 2 objectives you have to attend.
Okay.
The remaining 3 can be next day.
All right.
Got it? Room 3, can you start your presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Khushi ma'am, can you please share?
Yeah,
the-
ma'am. Share.
Okay.
Now, over here we have what do you consider while writing a learning objective? Now, first, what we have to do is we have to break down the topic into the smaller and manageable units. Because if we take a large chunk, the students will not be able to understand. So the larger chunk is broken down into bits and pieces so that it becomes easy for the student to understand the particular concept or the topic. Now, the next is that we should be able to measure the objective. The object should be measurable. As you know, it cannot be like understand. Suppose we say understand. Understand is a term which cannot be measurable. So at the same time, demonstrate or apply or compare and contrast. So these are the certain words which are measurable. So in the learning objective, we should be able to use the certain terms which states that the concept or a particular thing is measurable. Okay, then it has to be very much goal specific and goal oriented. Now, the learning objectives refers to clearly defined and focused outcome that articulate the student should achieve by the end of the lesson and unit. So the goal specific helps the student to understand what are they going to achieve at the end of the unit or the lesson. And also the goals you specific also helps the teacher to be very much on track, because sometimes it happens while a concept is being taught or a unit is being taught, the teacher gets diverted. So goal specific will help the teacher to be very much on track as well as per the concept given. Now, it has to be very much measurable and the assessment of the student understanding. So it also, in fact, allows for the assessment of the student's understanding, as is clearly mentioned. And it has to be very much, they should clearly state what exactly student will do. Now, many of the times when teaching the concept, we just tell the student to write a story or write a paragraph, but we do not tell how, what are we expecting from them. So this actually helps us to understand if we are very clear with the learning objective, like what are we going to, what are we expecting from the students? Definitely, it will help, in fact, the students to achieve. Now, the next thing is that we should be able, the student should be very realistic based on the student's prior knowledge and the skills. The concept, whatever, the learning objective, the concepts of it should be extremely realistic or, in nature, and it should be achievable. It should not be something which cannot be achievable. And they should connect to the broader learning goals and the standards. So once it's broken down into chunks and bits, they should be able to understand the broader learning goals as well as the standard. Now, I would like Neelam ma'am to take it further, and she's going to explain about the time bound. Neelam ma'am?
Okay, ma'am. Meanwhile, I'll tell the precautions we have to take.
Actually, my microphone was not unmuting. So the learning objective which we will take, like suppose the goal will be big, but we have to break the goal and the aim into such component which we should be able to achieve within the time frame which has been allotted to us. So the objective has to be very specific, and it should not be so broad that we will not be able to complete it within the time frame which has been allotted to us. Like for example, the goal will take like 3 days, 4 days, we need to achieve that goal for a short goal. So the all the objectives should be broken down in such a way that each objective is given a particular time frame where we will be able to achieve it. And one more component of the objective is it should mention the components of the Bloom's taxonomy, like critique, analyze, those keywords of Bloom's taxonomy, it should have those keywords in it while we are writing the objective.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be
Is it-
telling.
Sorry, I thought it was unmute. Is it the keywords or the verbs that has to be?
Yes, ma'am. The Bloom's taxonomy, it has certain verbs, like
Verbs.
depending on
Analyze, apply, identify,
apply,
compare, and
demonstrate,
contrast.
discuss, then like coordinate,
Yes.
reduce. So those verbs has to be there in the objective, ma'am.
Very good. Yes.
Ma'am, so the precautions we have to take while writing the objectives are, we have to, as Neela ma'am already said, we have to check that they are time bound and measurable. And the major point is it should have specific criteria. Instead of telling vocabulary, we have to say that the children are going to learn the homophones or the verbs or the adjectives. That specific criteria we have to mention in the learning objective, so it will be clear. And even as you already have discussed, it should align with the curriculum, what we are going to aim. It should connect to the aim which we are teaching. These are the precautions we have to take while writing the learning objective, ma'am.
Very good. Yes.
That's all from our side, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So next, group 2.
Yes, ma'am. Sindhuri, can you just display the...
Please share it fast. We have another group activity also.
Ma'am, I will just start in the meantime. So when we are talking about learning objectives, which is also called as performance objectives, so these should be always ensured that they are very brief and they are very clear. Specific statements should be there where the learner is actually able to perform. It should not be very general, just a planning where the child is not understanding what has to be done. And the next thing is that by understanding the learning objective, the child should demonstrate the mastery. That means the end of the objective should ensure that the outcomes, I feel that the outcome and the objective are interconnected. So the child should be able to achieve that, and the outcome should be, and we get the particular outcome. So that is something that I feel. And also the major thing is that it should facilitate overall course development. That is one point. Sindhuri, can you just, I don't know, I'm not able to see it. Okay. So it provides a framework for evaluating students' understanding. That is one more. And the major guidelines for the learning objectives, that is what we have to take care. The consideration is the first heading is behavior. That means in terms of an observable behavioral outcome, that is what I mentioned earlier. It should be student-centric. That means the learning objective should focus on the student, and it should be ensured that differentiation comes in this particular point, I feel, ma'am, because when we are talking about student-centric, we are focusing on the outcome. So we should plan in such a way that every particular level of the child is able to achieve that outcome. So the learning objective should be student-centric, and it should be specific, as I mentioned. And the major point that we were discussing till now is it should be measurable. So something where we know it is not, as ma'am had mentioned earlier, it is not every time about grading or giving marks, but something where we understand and get to know that the child is able to do it. It may be a simple worksheet, it may be a flipped class, it may be a think, pair, share activity which is given, and we are able to understand and able to measure that the child has understood what we have put in the objective.
Very, yes.
Thank you.
Any other persons would like to? Your writing is also very clear.
Yeah, ma'am. And ma'am, when it comes to the, what are the guidelines that we should follow for writing the effective learning objects, ma'am? We should use the verbs like identify, compare, analyze, demonstrate, and create, which defines the specific action, ma'am, of the students must perform. And we should ensure that we should focus on the objectives as specific, measurable, and achievable and relevant, and also the time bound. And we should
Yes.
also focus on one objective per statement, ma'am, and we should avoid combining the multiple objectives into one statement to maintain its clarity. And also we should ensure the difficulty level, ma'am, that is appropriate for the students' knowledge and skills. That means we should tailor to the students' abilities only. We should not go beyond to it. And also we should, learning objectives should be always straightforward, ma'am, and easy to understand. And these link objectives to the real life task or the skills to enhance the relevance for the students. It should relate to the real world application too, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Ma'am, one point I wanted to add here, multiple objectives should not, we should avoid that, ma'am, in one statement. So it should be broken down as you had given me that feedback, na, ma'am.
Yes, that's very, very important, because remember, one objective will have only one outcome. You should not have multiple outcomes for one objective. That level you have to break down. Okay. Now remember, two objectives can have one outcome. Okay, because it is a stepwise achieving. Yes, room 1, group 1.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sharing the screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Ma'am, so here we have written the points what we need to consider while writing lesson objectives. It have to be, as everyone already conveyed the same thing. We just would like to add a few on it. It have to be a specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bounded. And it have to align as per with the board. As you just informed us, when we are following the CBSE curriculum or Cambridge curriculum, it have to align the terminologies with the board that what they have mentioned. And it have to even connect with the real life applications. And these objectives need to be student centered, like how we have to think in their perspective, and we have to cater the needs of the students, and we have to write the lesson objectives. So Chaitanya ma'am, would you like to continue?
Yes, ma'am. What precautions to be taken while writing LOs? So first of all, the learning objective should be very clear and specific. So, for example, if in that particular class we have planned that learners should learn they should be able to write the word equation of photosynthesis. So we should make sure that we are going to deal with that points around to that, like raw materials required and the requirements, essential requirements like sunlight and chlorophyll, and the products which are going to synthesize. So in that, in that learning objective in the class, we should go around these instead of going to the plant tissues and all. So from where the carbon dioxide, from the stomata. So instead of using all these terms which can confuse the learners, it should be very specific about that word equation only we have to discuss. And at the end of the class, we should make sure every learner is able to write the word equation by their own or not without any mistake. So we should be very clear. And as you guided, ma'am, like action verbs such as explain, analyze, compare should be there. And we should avoid few terms which are general terms and which are not measurable. And it should be student centric all the time, and avoid instructor centered language. So the language, the terms which we are using, all the learners should be able to understand. Instead of using very high language, we should select according, that also depends upon the learners in our class. We should plan our lesson plan according to by keeping in mind the learners, what type of learners we have. Accordingly, we have to make our lesson plan.
Yeah, I will take over. Here, what precautions to be taken while writing our learning objectives? We need to avoid writing learning objectives that cannot be assessed or measured, because we have learned about this. Now, Sudha Madam said that should be measurable. So clearly that should be measurable. State you will measure students. Whatever we are writing the learning objectives, that should clearly state that we'll be measuring the student success, students rate. And also example, I just would like to give you example. Instead of saying students will appreciate the poem, we can say students will be able to explain the theme of the poem through a written summary.
Very nice. That's true. Correct.
Ma'am, I
And-
also would like to, ma'am, are you continuing?
Yes. And also I would like to say it should be realistic and achievable. Like avoid setting objectives that are too difficult to achieve. Objectives should match the students' abilities that can be achieved within time frame. And also we need to avoid writing objectives that shouldn't that don't align with broader learning goals. It should match the curriculum standards as well. So these are the precautions to be taken.
I would just like to add on to what Saujanya ma'am said with regard to the vague verbs like know, understand, and appreciate. We are actually avoiding, we should not use these words. So instead, what we can do is with regard to specificity, ma'am, like what do you consider while writing? So it has to be specific, measurable, and achievable. So what can be done is with regard to specificity, suppose if your objectives are clearly and concisely stated that what students will learn, instead of that, for example, students will understand the concept of democracy. Instead of telling that, we can just go with student will be able to define democracy and explain its key features. Instead of doing, I just repeat, ma'am. Instead of going with student will understand the concept of democracy, we can go with students will be able to define democracy and explain its key principles. This
You
is
can even say, ma'am, define the concept of democracy and explain the key features in their own words.
Yes, that also
that can be done. That can be
and
done.
measurability for suppose objectives, it should be measurable and observable, isn't it? So this means that we should be able to assess students learning through concrete methods. For example, I will just go with the same one. For example, you see,
Sharmila, can you stop sharing?
One example of for such is, instead of going with student will appreciate the importance of teamwork. So what can be given in a better way, student will demonstrate the ability to work collaboratively in a group work or a group project.
Can you repeat that, ma'am?
I'll just repeat. Instead of saying students will appreciate the importance of teamwork, so instead of that, we can use students will demonstrate the ability to work collaboratively in a group project.
Correct.
Yes,
correct. That's correct. So I think now we have got an idea of how to write objectives. Yes. So now you realize that where you were making mistakes and why the learning also was not happening in your classes. And remember,
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, just now Taisin ma'am said no, that we'll be able to learn the ability. Instead of learn ability, ma'am, can we write like students will?
It's not learn. She said will demonstrate.
Okay, ma'am. So
instead of telling that, we can say this.
So can we write like they will work together or collaborate in a teamwork, ma'am?
And what is the measurement that you're doing?
Teamwork, ma'am.
See, when she used the word demonstrate, Parveen, you're actually seeing, isn't it? Whether they are working in group, whether there is collaboration happening, whether there is sharing of ideas happening in the group. When you say demonstrate, when they work in group, what are they working on? Got it? Yes. What attributes are you looking at? So when it's demonstration means they have to show that they are working. Now, even you can use these also. The learners will be evaluated using a peer rubric for their presentation. Even that can be done. Remember, rubrics are very strong. Okay. So remember, when you share it with the students and ask them to evaluate their peers, no, it becomes even more stronger. Remember, your lesson becomes even more strong because now when a student evaluates a student, there are two types of learning happening. He understands where his mistakes are. Second, he understands new things from his peers. So peer tutoring, it is indirectly becoming. You got it? So this also can be added in your lessons.
Ma'am, then I have a doubt here. Can this demonstration be abstract too?
Can you give me an example of that being an abstract? Like, for example, let us say, will
Abstract demonstration can be their understanding, ma'am.
demonstrate their understanding is wrong, isn't it?
No,
That is wrong. What I
no,
now I got your
demonstrate.
point.
Okay.
Now see,
Understanding is abstract here. So
Ah.
can that be applied for this abstract too? I just have a doubt here.
No, that should not be. That's the wrong objective.
Okay.
Yes, what you said is right. So when you're saying demonstrate, you have to be very specific with what you want them to demonstrate. For example, in science, students will be able to, or learners will be able to demonstrate the action of solutions on pH paper. That
So
is
here
very
I
clear.
am. We are not supposed to like students will demonstrate an understanding of what
that is wrong.
That is
Correct.
wrong.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
That's wrong.
Yes. So you can say demonstrate the role that the character had in the story. Okay, that becomes actually a demonstration which is visually you can measure.
Ma'am, one more doubt I have got. What about recall? Recall and recap, is that the measurable, like suppose?
Recall what? Recall see,
the
recall
previous
is a verb.
Yeah.
Recall and they have to do something. What is that? That's something.
Okay.
Recall their understanding means it's wrong.
Wrong, yeah. Okay. So recall and analyze the particular whatever, like suppose.
See, for example, recall the prime factorization of 3-digit numbers. That's correct. That is correct.
What? How
Okay,
can we
recall.
use
Suppose if I say recalls the types of sentences and apply in the given exercise. So is it okay?
Yeah, that is fine, because if they've studied it in their previous class, yes.
Previous class. Okay.
this? We are going to use for a second day, na Manjari ma'am?
This will be used in the second day.
The second
so
day.
suppose first day, obviously.
No, it need not be. For example, ma'am, if you have done, say for example, simple and compound sentences, they have done in the previous class. You are going to teach complex sentences. So
Okay.
you can use that. Recall their learning of simple and compound sentences to segregate the given sentences in the worksheet or sentences in the worksheet.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, because that comes as then you go for the next one, because you're going to teach complex.
Understood.
That way you can.
Okay. Understood.
Ma'am, I have one doubt, ma'am. When we talk about this recalling thing, as sometimes like, say I am teaching grade 7 and in the previous grades, they have already learnt about the plants and all. But we are getting into little more deeper topic where we are talking about the phloem and xylem and all this. So when we are writing this as a,
It is not mandatory, ma'am. You need not write that as an objective.
Okay.
Okay. You can, in your lesson plan, the first part will be recall.
Okay.
After sharing your objectives, you will be focusing on recall. Then you will be mentioning, the students will be asked questions on the prior knowledge of what is that they have studied. So the topic there, it will be coming. When you're writing your lesson plan, it will come.
Okay, but we don't need to always specify whether
Yes.
we are giving it as a, because you were telling na, in the worksheet or questions, we can just mention just to ensure that the measurable thing is happening or not, just in the form of questions and all. Do we need to add it in the lesson plan?
When you are writing your lesson plan, remember, after your aim, after your objective, into the lesson plan, first part should always be you are sharing your objectives with the students. Second is your recall of the prior knowledge. This is must. That is why I said your lesson plan must be shared with me, because there are certain stages that you have to do there. Now that will come next week. We are only talking about the top and the lesson, how exactly we go in this week. Next week into the lesson plan, we'll go in depth. That is the reason I am asking you to write and bring. So see, when you are making mistakes, you will remember better. That is the reason I'm asking you to write and bring. Okay. Now this please read.
Ma'am?
See, learn to apply the criteria for coherent paragraphs. This is the objective. Objectives like listening, the learner will listen to the poem wrong. Learner will be speaking about the character is wrong. What do you want him to do? Okay. Learner will be observing. These are not measurable. Similarly, students will learn the algorithm is wrong. Are you sure they learn? Learners will apply the algorithm is right. Got it? Right? Next, there is an objective that is given. Students will interpret concrete and pictorial models that represent fractions. So here it is very specific. So the pictorial model is also there and concrete one is also there to relate.
Ma'am, what about practice? Practice also comes under this one, no, ma'am. Will practice or reinforce?
See, that need not be as an objective.
Objective, okay.
See, when students interpret you're giving in your lesson plan, you're going to give a worksheet to reinforce it. So that need not come. This is what is achieving. For what you are achieving, you will be designing a worksheet that comes in your planning.
Okay, yes, but it is not the learning objective. Yes.
Yes. So next is we are going to see how a lesson should be planned. We have gone through aim, we have understood objective. Now how you should plan a lesson. For this again, it's a group activity. It's 11:32. So 11:42, 11:45 I will give you because now there will be breaks also. Just a minute. I am sharing the links for the groups. The same rooms I'm opening. You can take a break. It's a working break. So take a break and come back and sit and work in your groups. Okay. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3. Give the understanding of coherency and need for it in your classes. Now there is one more work aligned with this. So 1 minute, I'll give that also. So this is the activity. Give your understanding of coherency. Create a flow chart as a group. Decide one lesson, one period, one subtopic. Okay, one objective you take. Create a flow chart for that lesson flow. How you are going to start with. So what will be the beginning? What is the concept? How we are going to end the lesson. Create it as a flow chart. Okay, remember only one period plan I'm asking about. It is 40 or 45 minutes period. Only one period plan designed for only one class. Okay, any one class you can design together as a group and present it. Clear all of you? Anyone has any doubts here? So now you have a working break. Please do go have your small break and come back and please sit. So 11:50 we will be closing the rooms. Okay, 11:50, 50. Sorry, completed. I was looking for exemplar. I didn't realize. Okay. Yeah, group 1 can start. Shilpa, I will share the exemplar because Cambridge has blocked the exemplars. Okay, I will share the exemplars. So just share one of them. Remember, don't copy anything from the exemplar. This is just a sample so that no, you can refer. Okay. Do not copy anything from exemplar. Yes, that is the reason they have blocked the exemplars. Yeah. So group 1, can you start with your presentation? Group 1, are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I don't see anyone responding, so I have a doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Chaitanya, Saujanya, Mokampika, Sharmila, Tehseen.
Ma'am, coherency is very important, ma'am, in teaching. Like it helps the learners to understand and retain the information better when when the lesson is going in a flow. The session is going in a flow. So it can build the connection between the topic which is previously done and what they are learning at present. The concept will be very clear if there is a flow. So for that, we have taken one example, ma'am. I'll share the screen.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. This is the learning objective which is taken from grade 7. Grade 7, and the learning objective is learners will be able to define the solubility as per the text. And the 2 learning objectives, so we are going to deal in that particular 40 minutes period. Learners will be able to demonstrate the factors affecting the rate of solubility from the results. Ma'am, is that correct, ma'am? Like what we have to add there?
1 minute. Can you just expand it a little bit? Enlarge it. Okay, okay.
Second learning objective, once check, ma'am.
No, rate of solubility only. Why from the results? Rate of
Means,
solubility.
ma'am, here they will do the.
I understood. Now my question is, rate of solubility itself means they're getting it. You have said demonstrate. That means they're doing an experiment.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay, from the result is not required there.
Okay, ma'am.
Factors affecting rate of solubility. That's it.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
demonstration, no factors affecting solubility, only temperature.
Yes, ma'am. In the like only temperature.
Then you should factors. See, when you're
Look,
saying
similar
factors
form.
affecting is temperature, okay. Then you will have to write that
Along
there.
with the temperature, they will like measure the time also, no, ma'am. Like if the temperature is more than that, then the time taken will be very less.
See, that is rate. Not asking that.
Okay.
Are you taking only temperature as a factor?
Yes, ma'am. Only
That
temperature.
right, learners will be able to demonstrate that temperature is a key factor affecting the rate of solubility.
Okay, ma'am.
That temperature is a key factor that affects the rate of solubility. Because if it's more than one factor, then fine. It's only one, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So then demonstration, lab activity. Okay. Application, real life examples that you will have to write it as another objective. The learners will be extending the factor to real life applications. You understood now? Remember your lesson plan? Now, where will you start? Now you have written this. So what will be your prior knowledge?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
What will be your prior knowledge? You've started with defining, right?
Like starting with soluble and insoluble substances. And
so remember that also should come before define.
Before defining. Okay, here we have to
so yeah, they have to start with soluble and insoluble substances. So then you have to start. So your prior knowledge connect with whatever they know earlier, then go into the lesson. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So this much only we will be dealing this week. So once you're thorough with, you make a lesson plan and come, we'll go into details of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
English teachers of that group, Tehseen and Saujanya, now
Actually,
you got the clarity?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we got the clarity, ma'am. I'm just going to elaborate more on why coherency is essential for teachers.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to tell the meaning of coherency here so that we have a clarity on what is coherency here. So coherency is actually, just a minute, ma'am. It is like explaining things clearly and organizing our lessons in a logical order where we are using consistent language and helping students to see connections between the ideas. And also we are using well-organized materials.
Very true.
And why it is very much essential for the teachers? It is for, first thing is for student understanding. Yes. And then for effective communication.
Yes.
Then comes the time management. And also for boosting their confidence. And it also demonstrate the teachers' expertise and commitment to quality education.
Very good. Very good. Very nice. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, group 2. Group 2.
Sinduri, please present
Yes,
it.
ma'am, she's sharing.
Ma'am, can you all see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so coherency is about ensuring that learning materials, instruction of that strategies.
Can
and
you just make it a little bit bigger? 100% you just make it 125, no? No, there it is. 100% it is showing that, that you make it 120. Yes.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Coherency, it is about ensuring that learning materials, what we provide and the instructions, what we give to the students and the assessments, what we do are very much aligned and it should be in a progressive way, like step by step way, so that we also will have a proper knowledge where the child is actually in. And it goes in a very smooth way, ma'am. The flow of learning will be in a very smooth way so that we can help the students where they are lagged up.
Very good. Yes.
So without coherency, students may feel lost, ma'am. As we discussed, if the student only don't know where they are and we are also don't know where the child is. So firstly, the student couldn't understand what he or she has to do in further. So he'll be lost and fail to keep some interest in studying. And he will lose the connection in there.
Yes. Very true. See, some of us now have the, have a movie. Why some movies fail? Because there is no connection between the scenes.
Yes, ma'am.
There should be a flow for a story to move. Similarly, a lesson should be like a story. So that flow is called as coherency. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So my Preeti ma'am will continue with the flow chart of the.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So here we are talking about the flow chart where the plant classification, we have taken the topic, ma'am. But later on, actually, there is some error. So I will
The
just
aim
rectify.
actually will be different. Aim will not be this. Okay, if the curriculum document gives the word understand also, please don't take it. You look at what exactly, some recognize or something like that, you see that it is.
Ma'am,
Okay.
can I replace it with demonstrate? Because at the end
No,
of the.
no. Here the problem is when you're talking of types of plants, okay, demonstration means it total class should be outside this one.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we are taking our class outside like our classroom. We wanted
But
it nature.
entire 2, 3, see, it can be one of your objective, but it cannot be an aim.
Okay.
You understood? Because no, till that lesson is complete, it has to be outside.
Identify, ma'am, that also, no, identify the various types of plants.
No, that objective is right. I'm saying in the aim.
Okay.
Can it be
Objective
comprehend,
is
ma'am?
correct. Learners will identify characteristics of herbs, shrubs and trees. Next, see, first is identify, remember. Next objective should be learners will classify plants based on the characteristics of herbs, shrubs and trees.
Okay.
Now remember, when
that
you're
should be
using
divided.
classify comes under, remember, classifying based on characters means it is both analytical as well as evaluative, and it's higher than identification, which is application.
So, ma'am, when we write the aim, can we make the one that I had written to help students understand the classification and classification of...
No, aim, don't write about classification.
Okay.
Okay, like students will be able to recognize different types of plants or relate the different types of plants. Fine. But when that is the curriculum document objective, isn't it? So let us not change that. But yes, differentiate is also correct. Yes. So instead of identify, you can have differentiate also. But when you're doing, when you're saying classify characteristics, it goes to a higher level. That means your child is able to relate the characteristics and pinpoint and tell that this is a herb, this is a shrub.
Okay.
So it comes to analytical as well as evaluation category. So that is why put your identification or differentiation first and then put your classification. Okay?
So,
yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, so then the objective that we are mentioning is that we have mentioned that the student will be able to classify, ma'am. That is what you have said, right?
No. Learners will be able to, first will be identify the characteristics of herbs, shrubs and trees.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next objectives will be learners will be able to classify herbs, shrubs and trees based on the characteristics.
Sure, ma'am.
Sudha, I have one doubt.
Yes.
Like, ma'am, in this session flow, how we are writing, like when writing the learning objectives, like at the end of the class, like we'll make some assessment, no, ma'am, like
Yes.
any quiz or oral questioning. That also as a learning objective we should include.
No, now here itself, Chaitanya, we said identify.
Okay.
Now, in your lesson plan, you should have the assessment. You have a formative assessment part where you will have different strategies to measure, identify. Okay. Now, you're going to show them an example and a tree, a picture, and ask them, how is it? So, if they say it is very short, okay, it is not having too many leaves, or it is very, it is like a crowded plant, something that characteristics we feel the child is able to identify that and write it in columns, differentiate it. That means that they are able to identify characteristics. And when you say classify, that means that 10 minutes you're taking them out and they're pinpointing and telling in work. It can be individual or it can be in groups. Telling that this is a tree because it is having a long trunk, its head is there. So then this is actually a shrub. This is actually a herb. So yeah, when they're able to do that, that becomes classify. Now that you will be writing only in the lesson.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, what about the pre-assessment and all to check their prior knowledge? That also we will write here, ma'am, in the flow chart.
Objective, it will not come.
Not objective, ma'am, in this flow chart that you have told us to write.
Yes, you will have to write.
We have to write, right? So, ma'am, after that, like after the objective, what we can mention is pre-assessment, where we are asking the students what they already know about the different plant types. So that will be the pre-assessment. And
I've already shared the exemplar. So I think today they will be sharing you. I'll just open the exemplar so that you will have an idea. Okay. That lesson plan exemplar I'll just open so that you will have an idea. Don't think too much about it. Anyway, next week we will be working on it. Okay. Once you prepare your sample, we'll be working on it. Okay. I'll just show you how the things are written so that, can you stop sharing, Sindhuri? This is the sample. So to practice different reading comprehension skills for deeper understanding of biographies. That becomes the lesson aim. Objective is to draw links between vocabulary, words, and the theme and topic. Apply explicit and implicit comprehension through questioning. To demonstrate ordering of information in chronological order. Don't take this format. This format is not your format. Okay, this is an old one. So download and use the correct format to demonstrate ordering of information in chronological order, to create a timeline for an athlete. Now see how the lesson plan is going. First, it will be activating prior knowledge. Okay, then flow. Reading comprehension skills, that is making connection between vocabulary, words, and theme, your first objective. Then in that itself, they have covered how the teaching have to be going for comprehension. Okay. Now look at the assessment part. This is in the formative assessment. Can you see how they have written? You need not write this much. You can write what formative assessment, like role play you're giving some dictation, you're asking them to draw, cartooning, all that can be put here. That much is enough. This paragraph writing is not required. If you're putting is questioning. But remember, don't put everywhere oral questioning.
Ma'am, hands-on activities also come under this, no ma'am? Formative
Yes,
assessment.
hands-on activity, you have to mention here. What hands-on activity?
Okay.
If we do any drawing part and all, that also we should
Drawing, you have to
it.
mention here. See here, they have put the entire chunk as 35 minutes. You can take this as 10 minutes, then the next column will be another 10 minutes. Next column can be another, see here, ordering of chronological information. Then creating a timeline. Now see how it is related to the objective. First two is covered in this 35 minutes. The next two is covered here. Can you see in the lesson plan it's getting covered? Finally, it will be reflection and self-assessment. Remember, when you're doing reflection, this feedback is very important. Traffic lights or no, you can take a quick assessment. What is that? Sticky note feedback. Anything.
Exit
Exit
and like a 1 plus minus.
You will have to collect feedback. Remember that. Okay. So I'll share this. This is just for an idea. And your classroom timing should be 40 minutes to 60 minutes only. Not lesser than 40 minutes, not more than 60 minutes.
Can we go with the regular what we are doing now, ma'am? 40 minutes?
Regular you can go. That is why I'm saying sometimes what happens, you may club 2 periods. But that will become 90 minutes. That is not accepted. Okay. Yeah. That's the reason I'm saying this. Yeah. Group 3, can we have quickly because only 15 minutes is left?
Yes,
3. Yeah.
Like coherency means making sure everything you teach makes sense and fits together logically. Like for teachers, this is important because it helps students understand and remember what they have learned. The coherency it's itself to say that it is clear and you have to connect your topics to the lesson plan and also it reaches to the learners. So it's clear and connected lessons keep students focused and make learning easier. It's also like structured. Without coherency, students might get confused or lose interest. Like we can't go with assessment first and then introduction. Like mismatch, it will happen. So we have
you can have assessment
to go it in a constructed way, which can make it harder for them to learn. Yeah. So keeping lessons clear and well organized. We can have assessment, ma'am.
Yeah, but that assessment should be pre-assessment.
Pre-assessment, but not like new one. And it should be connected.
Yes.
Maybe to the prior knowledge also.
Very true. Yes.
So we have taken a lesson of grade 4, Helen Keller. Our aim, as I have written, like contrast their feelings when they see someone who needs help. So here the students will be able to list at least 5 different emotions they feel in various situations. Will be able to write a reflection piece on how their emotions influence their decisions and actions. Evaluate at least 2 reasons why helping others is important. This is
important. No, there is a mistake there. It's okay.
Yeah,
No,
Which one?
evaluate at least 2 reasons why helping others is important. That's it,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so that's no, just go back to that objective now. Now I want others also to see this, why this becomes measurable. Can you see that? She has given listed down 5 different emotions that becomes measurable. Okay. Next is will write a piece of reflection on how emotions influence their decision. That becomes measurable.
So directly emotions means it is like non-measurable now.
Yes. So they're writing a piece of reflection that becomes measurable. Second thing, evaluate. Instead of evaluate, you can use justify. Justify by giving 2 reasons. Now, when they're justifying, that means they are evaluating.
Evaluate.
Okay? Evaluating why helping. Now, the 2 reasons. Now, they are going to talk about the 2 reasons that becomes measurable. Now, your lesson plan, formative assessment also will be very clear. Okay, if your objective is very set straight for this this goal, automatically a formative assessment also will align. Okay, I think this is a very nice piece. All of you can just make a note and understand how exactly you have to make a specific, measurable, and achievable objective.
Objective. So here we have the like lesson, how the flow it happens. So the first introduction, like here is the flow, ma'am. Like it will be activity followed by the activity is like blindfold and navigate to find the things on the bench. Like we will blindfold them and we will take another student to navigate him to get one thing on the table. Like go straight, go left and all. So it will happen for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and then the rest of the time will be like discussion happens, like how the struggles faced by the differently abled people. This is the like introduction.
Can you do me a favor? Write this as a lesson plan and come, because no, we can do this activity next week in a clear-cut format of the lesson plan.
Because the same lesson I'll make.
Same lesson, and you make with the formative assessment, so that no, there will be clarity on how we, if there is mistakes also, we can correct it. It's not an issue. But no, this has very clear objective set. So I know others will also have a clear understanding of how to go with the formative assessment.
Okay. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay. My friends will
Nice.
carry on with the new next following.
Yeah. Anyone else is presenting?
Yes. Ma'am, after the Kushi ma'am, can you?
Sure.
Yeah. After the activity, the students will settle down and we will be showing them an audio visual on Helen Keller, a 5-minute documentary on Helen Keller. 4 to 5 minutes documentary. Then we will be asking the students to identify who the documentary is about whom. So that becomes an assessment, and we can see whether they are able to identify the person. Then from the video, we will ask them to write down any 2 to 3 points about what they have learned from the video about Helen Keller. What are her disabilities and what are her achievements? Any 2 to 3 points we will be asking the students to write. Then we will ask the students to just go through the lesson. It is a short lesson, so they can just go through the lesson and they will just identify the keywords in the lesson. So now they have an idea of what the topic is about and about whom, and the summary of the topic, they will have an idea along with the keywords in the lesson.
Right. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I'll tell about the conclusion and the recap of the lesson, ma'am. So we'll go with the review of life of Helen Keller's achievements. What we have seen in the video and all, we'll be discussing with the children to give a review. To give a review about the things and her role of determination also, so that we will have an idea what the children have understood. Then the second stage is we will ask the students, what did you learn? The direct points. What did you learn from the life of Helen Keller? So this will be the conclusion, ma'am. Then exit card activity will we will either we can take or we can ask one of the students to give also if they are interested. Wrap up with a positive message on overcoming challenges. How do we overcome challenge? We can take a quote or we can actually talk. A small kind of talk also we can have on this as an exit card activity, ma'am.
Okay. So here then that has to be mentioned in your objective. If you are giving that as an activity, positive message of overcoming challenges, that also should come as an objective.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think now you're clear on what are the components of the lesson plan.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Ma'am, here I have a doubt with regard to their flow, ma'am, flow chart.
Yeah.
So there here in this 40 minutes class, they have not focused more on the explanation of the lesson here, or they are just
Need
going
not
with
be,
the,
no?
no, that
Need
is what
not
they
be.
are just going with the activity, beginning activity. So the
No,
second
see,
is,
one thing is, if your students are capable of reading, remember, as per no learning theories, it should be more of student work rather than instructor work. So avoid writing teacher explains. See, when there is a hardcore topic, for example, if you're going to teach something like algebra, in working of algebra, there you can use the teacher will be explaining this aspect and the students will be asked to. But if it is like language wise, we want only the recitation, intonation, pronunciation, there you can have the teacher demonstrate for the students. Don't write explaining the lesson. Because when it
what if
comes
any
to
grammar topic is being taught by the teacher here then?
grammar topic, yes, you will be again, you will see, that is what I said, depending on the topic. Now,
That
Helen
will
Keller
correct.
is a lesson and we are talking about emotions there. Now, when it comes to emotions, explaining will not be much effective, but that should not again come as an objective. Remember, it's part of the lesson that you're doing. Okay, objective is what the student should do, not what the teacher should do. So don't write explaining the lesson. Explaining the lesson is instructor based. Okay. What you want the learner to do is the objective. Okay. So now if you see what and all you have done, first is existing whatever learning is there, you're connecting with new learning that comes in the clear beginning. Now this comes in your constructivist approach. Okay. Second, apply and consolidate new learning wherever students are participating. That is the reason I'm asking you to use explanation very less. Okay. And you're providing opportunities for them to reflect and analyze what they have learned new. Reinforcing learning points, that must be your conclusion, wherein you are recapping about their learning segment, providing students to reflect on their experiences. All these come under components of active learning. Okay. Constructivist approach, reflection. Remember, reflection is not only for you as a teacher, but also for the student. Okay, you have to start developing reflection among students. So now I want you to look into, once we follow this process, where do you think in your classes metacognition will happen? I'm giving you a supporting document. You can just think of any example that you have given till now and you just tell me how metacognition will happen. You can relate to the lessons that they have shown also. Where do you think metacognition is happening in your classes? Remember about metacognition? Okay. So think and tell me, in all the examples that we have talked, where do you think metacognition is happening?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes.
During the last lesson plan, ma'am, in the objectives, they have mentioned that the students will be writing a piece of reflection about their emotions. So that means they have seen a video about Helen Keller, and after hearing about her, they have started like imagining or thinking, what if someone is like that? They have started to think about their own imagination. I can say, like, if at all, if any student, like if at all, if any person was with that disability, then how would he feel? He was using his
Yes. They are able to think on, or they are able to put themselves in that situation
Yes,
and
ma'am.
able
Yeah.
to recap on, or no, at least because they had an activity of blindfold also,
Yes, ma'am.
experience the what you can say is their inability to do things on their own, and know the type of support and help that they are expecting, that the blind people are expecting.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Empathizing with them. So these are things, that will result in development of metacognition. Wherever reflection happens, automatically metacognition happens.
Ma'am, it is like where you corrected that last line of Khushi ma'am's lesson, where they will be justifying by giving two reasons. That also comes under metacognition.
Yes, that also comes, because when you're justifying, you
That
are analyzing.
That is, they are assessing themselves, self-assessment. It is a kind of self-assessment.
Yes, yes. That also comes metacognition. Yes, Alicia?
Yes, ma'am. Even when we ask the children to give one positive note about it, they'll have to, as we have already discussed, they have to empathize the situation and what is the overcoming challenge, overcoming point. They have to think. They have to put the point to their brain to think.
Very true.
So
Very true.
metacognition happens there also, ma'am.
Yes, Khushi?
Yes, ma'am, like same as they told, like it is like one's own thought process. It can lead to the significant personal and educational growth there also. So it is about their own thinking process to understand and communicate with the world around.
Yes.
That activity. That is a metacognition where they will like provoke themselves. Own process,
Yes.
thought process.
That's true. Yes. Yes, Mukambika?
As Chaitanya ma'am, we have taken the example of solubility, no ma'am. So can we ask like this, ma'am, what do you already know about solubility? Does it come under
metacognition? Remember, metacognition is after your demonstration. Okay. Now, if students are able to tell, are able to tell, say, for example, you did it with salt, and now you are asking them to do it with some other substance, let us say alcohol. Okay. And if they are able to say, ma'am, alcohol also vaporizes when we heat. So if you add more alcohol also, it will be continuously soluble. Then metacognition is happening in them.
So they have to relate the before one with the next one more
correct
example.
one also.
Yes.
They know, they would have already learned that it is a volatile liquid. Along with that, they are able to relate solubility also. Yes, they are thinking metacognitive. Got it?
What about identification, ma'am?
Yes.
Students identifying.
Identifying, yes. See, for example, they were talking of different types of plants, right?
And they will be able to identify.
When they go out, they say, ma'am, I saw so-and-so plant, okay, and it is having these characteristics. So this is definitely a shrub.
So
If
that
they
is
say
metacognition, identification.
that metacognition.
So,
yes.
ma'am, when they are able to identify whether the short plant is a herb and whether the, the bushy plant is a shrub, so that becomes a metacognition.
Because something that you have not told, but they are relating it on their own, and they are reflecting on the characters and telling you the
characteristics.
Yes.
So, ma'am, it is
even for the
also
pre-assessment, no, ma'am.
where they have started logically thinking and started correlating their own concept has been taught in the class, and then they are practically seeing it and identifying it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that is your ultimate aim. Remember, your ultimate aim is they have to reach the metacognition level.
Yeah, ma'am. And during the prior knowledge, when we ask the children to say what do they know already about the plants, no, they think and then they say, right? So what do you think it's important to learn about the plants? Why, what do you already know about the plants? Children will be encouraged to think about the existing knowledge.
For example, Shravanti, on your lesson, I saw that N. Now, when your teacher was teaching N or you're teaching N concept and all the English words, then if they suddenly say, ma'am, Nana in Telugu starts with N.
Yes, ma'am.
For their level, yes, it is metacognition because they are able to relate the sound to something that they have heard, okay, but they don't know that is a Telugu word, but they are able to relate it. That
No,
sound
even they have connected with their names, and also they said like all of this are a non-veg. It has happened in the class, ma'am. Non-veg also name because it was not there in the class. Ma'am has never told that.
So
But
that means metacognition is
happening.
Okay, yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes, Sharmila.
here I have a a doubt. Mukambika ma'am said, "What is if we are asking the question, what is solubility?" That won't come under metacognition.
That
but
is not
when we are
metacognition.
demonstrating the activity, students are linking, so that is metacognition. Like, okay, in
Yes.
my home, when I am mixing the cold water with salt, it is not happening. But if the water is at a room temperature, if I'm mixing, it's happening. So that is metacognition.
Yes. See, if they come and tell you, cold drinks is not sweet. But if it comes under slightly room temperature, we are able to feel the sweetness. So that relation they are able to make. Okay, then it becomes metacognition. Yes, ma'am. Kushi, ma'am.
My class ma'am once like the topic was about home and house. So like when the explanation was happening, then lastly they told, so that's why we will write home sweet home, welcome home and all. So that is like they connected with the doormats and all and the key like outdoor. So that is also metacognition.
That is, see, they are relating it with something that you have not told. So their thought process is expanding. Okay, and remember, kids make a lot of connections, but that connections we should be aware of, and certain connections will be way out. It may not be even related. Okay, there we have to step in. So metacognition is needed, but metacognition should not go in a different direction. Okay, so that is what is needed in the classes, and where it is remember that freedom. That's why we say our classes should be safe environment, because they should speak out what they are thinking. In that way we can correct them if they are getting diverted also. Okay, so that is the end of coming to the end. So work on the aim. Objective, complete a sample lesson plan for next week for discussion in class. Remember, lesson plan is not complete. After next week only it will complete. Okay.
Ma'am, you want us to follow what you have given us the exemplar template, ma'am?
No, I did not give you exemplar template. Yes, one template I've given, that is 2024 template. Yes, I've shared that.
So you want us to, follow those planner, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, and
now
PDQ
currently for
connect.
sample you follow.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am,
when you are writing the actual lesson plan, you can download the template and use. Okay, because everyone now is asking for 2025 template. So if they change and upload, then you use the old template, we will land in trouble. So better download and you can use it. Okay. So today, what have you learned? How will you proceed? Just write one sentence in the chat box. If anyone is having any questions, please stay back. Others, you can complete your feedback and you can go. So wish you a happy Sunday.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any questions you have, please let me know. Aarti ma'am, you understood?
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. Yes, Shravanti.
Ma'am, regarding to the artifacts, ma'am, the fifth question, like assignments, no, ma'am. So for the experience, from the experienced teachers, one we have to click the pictures or something.
No.
Then
What is your learning from theories?
Okay, ma'am. So it should be good. We can take our own class artifacts, ma'am.
No, your theories. Remember, the first unit 1 learning is based on theories. What is your understanding from the theories you are exposed to? That can be an artifact. Okay?
Okay.
Ma'am, ma'am,
Yes. Yes,
ma'am,
Parveen.
can I know the module 1 home assignment, ma'am? What we have to do from unit? Can you?
Module 1.
Yes, unit 1,
I've
yeah.
already shared in the group. See,
It is there in the group, Miss Parveen. You
it's
could
there in
just
the
check it
group.
once.
And read through your module guide for more details. It's already in the group and it is already given in your module 1 guide, unit 1 part. You will have to read through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Okay,
also
ma'am.
few columns you told me to correct it, right, ma'am, in the assignments. Shall I do it today and send it again, ma'am?
No need. You can take it. See, one thing is, please don't send it on Sunday. Because
No.
morning I will be sitting with what is today's lesson and I will see these mails. I get tensed. Okay, but Chaitanya, yes, I've received yours. I've kept it as 100. I will again go through it. Okay, you send it during weekdays, so I'll take time and I'll review it. Morning when you send, no, oh my God, now I have to sit and see
No,
this. I
ma'am,
will,
it's
because
not
no,
like
I
that.
will be under the impression you may ask something about that. So then I thought, no, I'll tell them that no, I need time.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. It's not like my intention was to send at night, ma'am. I did not get the system because my son is having a meal. So he has taken the system and he's working for the next day. So I got only in the late night and I have worked till 2 and I have sent it.
No problem. See, one thing is send it whenever you're free, but give me some time so that no, I will
Sure,
check
ma'am.
and I will revert back to you. Okay?
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And I would request others also to speed up. This week, kindly see that unit 1 folder is shared. Okay? Because no, you will have 3 to 4 reviews minimum. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Until you come to your unit 3, now unit 3 will have less reviews because by the time you will know how to write. But unit 1 will have maximum reviews. So don't get frustrated also. Okay? Yeah.
Ma'am, you
we
did
have
not
shared
give an
the
answer regarding to this, ma'am. Like you told to write the objectives, right? Can I send it in the chat box again and let me know if there
No
is
need. No need. Next week you say, give it, prepare it and keep it as a plan.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, Alicia?
Ma'am, we have shared our draft to our mentor, ma'am. So by
No
evening
issue.
we'll
So
be sharing with
she'll send it. That's not an issue. Once she is confirmed, you send it to me.
Yeah, ma'am, by evening. Ma'am said that afternoon we'll have a discussion. By evening we'll share it with you.
Sure. Okay. Yes, Neelam?
Ma'am, in evidence of learning, they have asked like what are the various theories and what is your understanding about how people learn. So in the module guide, they have specifically mentioned constructivism. So
Constructivism, behaviorism,
so
cognitivism.
do we need to include all of them because only
Yes,
800 words?
no. There are a lot of theories, but initially you will have to include the ones that they have mandated.
Mandatory, okay.
Yeah, over a period you can add more, but no, minimum is 3, maximum is 5 theories that you have to write. Explicitly, you have to write in your EOL.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Manjari.
Yes, ma'am. The thing is that we have to, even the references also, do we have to mention the words not required? No, ma'am. Because in
mention the
word limit, because in any
800 words.
No.
See, references are not included in the word limit.
Okay.
Don't include your references in the word limit. Only your content of EOL, EOR is the word limit.
Okay.
Got it?
And
Yeah.
we have to give it to you together, ma'am, all the because I have sent it to
Unit 1 together you will have to submit because it's a continuity.
Okay, it's a continuity.
Yeah. Yes, Neelam?
Ma'am, like when we are writing about those theories, we are referring different documents and we are picking up quotes. So after picking up the quotes, do we need to write the page number next to it?
Page number is not required. Author and the year is required.
That we are giving in the reference because one.
No. See, remember there are 2 types of referencing: in-text referencing and after the writing referencing. These 2 should match.
They will match the book.
So if you are writing there, don't write the page number, author and year only. No need of page number.
So, ma'am, author and the year, and in the same thing, references will be writing author,
References
year,
also,
and that whole
author, year, the
and the
book,
book.
total referencing format will come there.
Yeah, and if the book is not there, then
And
that
try to follow alphabetic order. Don't follow the passage order. For your safety, I'm telling. You can follow any one method. The order of appearance in text or alphabetic order. The reason is sometimes you do modifications, add new people, new authors, and you will miss in the sequence in your references. Okay. So if you're following alphabetic, it's not a problem. You can add them as per alphabetic. For the safer side, I'm telling you. Okay,
ma'am, for website, we have to add date, and do we have to add time also, ma'am?
Not time, only date.
Only date.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay then.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am. What a class.
Yeah.